Good morning, Service Alliance community. How is everybody doing today?
What do you think about that new intro, man?
I like it.
I was trying to hear. Is that a Brothers Osborne song by chance? No,
I'm not sure.
not sure.
I'm
I
not
could
sure.
hear some lyrics being. I like the Brothers Osborne, man. They got a good sound to them. It's interesting when you see them physically. You think one of the guys is the voice, but it's actually the other guy who's the main voice. So their branding is very
Like
interesting.
us.
Right? Oh boy, yeah.
Here we
Just
go.
just like us, just like us.
Just like
Good morning,
us.
Mike Carson. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I am wonderful.
All righty. How you doing, Jeremy? Adam?
Only number 23 was the only
Tracy?
great M and J to come out of Illinois. Wow. Yeah. I would agree Michael Jordan was one of, if not the greatest basketball player in history.
He's probably the greatest athlete that came out of Illinois ever.
True.
Period. End
We're
of story.
talking branding today. Can you tell?
Yeah.
I got my Office Up jersey on. Here's a funny story about this jersey. Last year at Encompass Day, I wore this jersey and I cooked pancakes for a couple hundred guys. And we're at Asti in Las Vegas, and I'm walking through the lobby with this jersey on, and a guy yells out, "Hey, it's the pancake guy!" Hey, branding works, right?
You got a name now.
I got to name the pancake guy.
Isn't it fun when other people rebrand you?
Yeah. Hey, I'm fine with it because he came up. He said, "You going to be at Encompass days this year cooking pancakes?" I'm like, "You bet, I'll be there." And so same thing with the tree care industry. We're breaking into the tree care industry, and we were at an event down in North Carolina last week before. And so the lady who's over at Let Us Cook Pancakes. So getting a name for myself as the pancake guy, whatever it works to get them to call.
Yep. All right.
So we're talking branding today, the power of branding. Going to be talking about principles and strategies and how to leverage the power of branding in your own business. We're going to hit up on 4 or 5 key points today. We want to talk about defining your brand identity, creating a compelling brand voice, building brand recognition, and brand storytelling. So those are some of the key points we want to hit on. But before that, let's hit up a scripture and some prayer. Does that sound good?
All right. We got the ultimate branding scripture this morning.
Oh boy.
It's Genesis 1:27.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them.
Yep.
So he
That's
branded
the
us
ultimate
right after himself.
That is the ultimate brand. I'll tell you that. Wow. Okay.
Gotta love it.
That could be a lot to live up to, right?
It is a
I want
lot.
to, before we go into a prayer, we got Riley Gallagher is watching. He's an electrician friend of mine, and he just went through a complete brand on his business, Forefront Electric, and it looks incredible. The guy's Dan Antonelli out at Kick Charge, which I know we're going to talk about here in a little bit. His company helped him rebrand it. So congrats to Riley on that rebrand. Incredible rebrand. Go check out Riley on Forefront Electric on Facebook and look at his brand. Great look. Good job. Anyway, let's pray. God, thank you for today. Thank you for windows that open up and give us nice fresh air, nice cool air. And thank you for this incredible image that you have created us in. And it can be a lot to live up to some days, but it's really easy to live up to many days. So thank you for what you've done, what you've created in us. And above all, as we go through our day, let us keep you in the front of our minds and that people would see your love through our actions. Amen.
Amen, brother. All
So,
right.
A couple of cool things before we go on. I was trying to figure out, okay, what kind of dad jokes can I do? So I did something a little bit different. So I looked up some stuff about like alternative taglines for some very famous brands, such as like Lay's potato chips. Here's a new tagline for you: Lay's flavored air. Right? That could work.
Pretty
IKEA.
much it.
Here's a new tagline for IKEA. IKEA, we throw in extra parts just to mess with you.
It's funny. I was putting a new outdoor couch together this weekend for our deck, and it had all these extra parts. And I was like, when I was in the automotive collision industry, I used to always joke around. The job's not done unless you have extra screws and bolts and nuts
Right?
laying around, and
I got two
where
more
did
for you.
these go?
Two more for you. And if we get time at the end, I'm gonna throw in Garmin, the GPS system. There's a new tagline for Garmin. Garmin, drive yourself into a lake.
That's no lie. I
And
used to have a Garmin. They were terrible.
Yeah. Do you know Trader Joe's where you can get the $3 chuck? All right. So here's a new tagline for Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's, the poor man's Whole Foods. All right, that's all I got.
It ain't that much cheaper, that's for sure.
I got to say good morning to my cousin Deb. Hey, Deb. Glad you're watching. All right, so let's get into this and talk a little bit about branding. So what is branding?
Branding. Yeah, exactly. What is branding? Has anyone actually ever really truly answered that question?
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
it means something different to everybody that I talk to.
According to ChatGPT, at its core, branding is the process of shaping how people perceive your company. That's pretty much as simple as you want it. It's not just about your logo or your color scheme, although those are very stinking important. It's about the emotional connection that you build with your audience. It's the values you stand for and the promise that you make to your customers. So it can mean a lot, right?
Yeah.
So So at its core, you hear me preach all the time. I've got my core values and our core focus over here. And I love talking about branding. So this is one of those, if I try to dominate, Mike, just tell me to shut up so you can put something in there, because branding is one of my jams.
You're fine. You're doing good. Great.
So I have all my core focus, my core values right here, just to my left that I can see. So when I'm creating a marketing piece, I am trying to find a reason. How does that line up with consistent client satisfaction or promises made, promises kept, next level solutions? How does it line up? We grow great people or culture of honor. I'm looking at our different core values. So as we talked the last week, 2 weeks about business strategies, business principles, we've defined that the foundation, one of the key foundations of your business is what? Your core values, your core focus, your core mission statement, right? So our core focus is helping business owners to create freedom in their lives. So everything I do, you'll see hashtag occasionally on our social media, hashtag creating freedom, right? Because I want to keep reminding myself, my team about our core focus. In each of our quarterly meetings that we have, we spend about 15 minutes on our core values. We talk about each one of them at every quarterly meeting. And we have each of our team members throw out one or two examples each time about the core values. So like we grow great people is one of our core values. And somebody will speak up, will say, well, Ashley did a great job at this and she really served our customer well. And it just goes on and on and on. So again, core values, getting down to branding and utilizing those in creating marketing and creating your color scheme. I mean, there's all kinds of things that go to it. So
I think you touched on a really good point, because there's so many people think of branding as just the visuals, and they don't think about core values as being a part of that branding. And it's not just all about visuals. It's who you are at the core.
Yeah.
So everything has to build off of that.
Yeah.
And then, the visual branding, the brand identity, which we'll talk about next, defining your brand identity. that comes out of the foundation. And without that foundational
Yeah.
understanding of who you are at the core and what your vision and mission are, you can't really define any kind of brand identity
Yeah.
without that.
That it's huge. It's digging into what your company is all about. It's what are your values, what sets you apart from your competitors. I once you have a clear understanding of that brand identity, then you can really start to communicate effectively to your audience. Be it on social media, be it in a podcast, be it in your emails, and then we start talking about your voice,
Right.
other things, right? So
Like
yeah,
I think the hardest part for any company in any niche, whether it's, like for me, web design and SEO and an appliance repair company, an HVAC company, an electric company, there's a sea of other companies out there.
yep,
And what makes you stand out and how do you go about standing out? Because it's really, really hard to stand out
yeah,
other than just visual, right? So, what makes you stand out above your competitors? And I, I guess it can't just be values, and I hear all the time, what's your unique selling proposition?
yep,
Is what I ask a lot of my clients. And they're like, oh, well, we offer the best customer service and we offer
mhm,
5-star service. And we've got so many 5-star reviews. And I'm like, I don't care about any of that. So does everybody else. Everybody else says the same damn thing. What makes you completely unique and different from all the rest of the pack?
yeah.
That's
So
what you need to do.
I'm going to go to the branding Bible here. What I call the brand, it's branded, not blanded. So this is Dan Antonelli's book, Branded, Not Blanded, and I had him on our
Got
podcast.
my copy right here.
You can go to our YouTube channel, My Office Helps YouTube channel. You see an interview I did with Dan Antonelli about branding. Again, I mentioned Riley used his company Kick Charge, but um, one of the things that Dan talks about is brand disruption. And in this, he talks about the purple cow. I'm going to read this paragraph about the purple cow. So, in his book, Purple Cow, Seth Godin talks about driving through the countryside and seeing the same cows over and over, and how the sheer abundance of commonality among them makes them unremarkable. But what happens if during that drive, after seeing hundreds of identical black and white cows, you suddenly saw a purple cow? That purple cow would capture your attention. You certainly would notice it, right? And the same
Absolutely.
is true. Same is true with branding, especially for home service businesses. The consumer you're trying to attract is being bombarded with literally hundreds, if not thousands, of ads and images that are just vying for their attention, and they see the same crap all the time. So how are you going to be that purple cow, and how are you going to stand out? I'm sorry, but the appliance guys, home service guys as a whole, have the white van syndrome,
Yeah.
and we've gotten a bad rep of being the how do I say this politely? Uh, the what do you call it whenever the white van dries up and all the people are like, look, it's the guy trying to
It's
the
the
candy van,
pedophile van.
the
That's
pedophile
the
van.
term.
All right, yeah, that's the easiest way to say it. I don't want to
It's
be the
it's the
pedophile
creep
van,
it's the creepy van that
the
you're waiting for
creeper
a couple of
van.
guys to
Yes.
jump out and throw somebody in off the sidewalk.
I mean, that's what you hear of the most when you see a plain white van driving down the road. It's the creeper van. That's a better way to say
Yeah.
it. The creeper
It's
van.
even worse if it's a black van,
Yeah.
you know?
So don't be the creeper van. Uh, I am a huge believer in vehicle wraps. Getting your whole vehicle wrapped, it sets you apart. And one of the biggest things that we did whenever we were looking at this brand identity was we took a picture of our trucks as they were, white vehicles with blue and yellow lettering, and we put them on a poster. And in the middle of this poster, and then we took pictures of every vehicle that we could find, not just electricians in our area, excuse me, but every vehicle in our area that was a service type company that had either lettering or wraps or something like that. And we took pictures, we printed it out, we put it on a poster board to see, do we stand out? Are we that purple cow that's going to stand out in the middle of all this sea of, what people are seeing every day? And we didn't. It was horrible. We were that next white van truck that just was horrible. So that's what we rebranded in 2007 as Electrical Detectives, from coal electric to Electrical Detectives. And then eventually we started heating and air. And so we rebranded to Service Detectives, and we were yellow and black. And that was our thing. So get away from the white vans. Please get away from the white vans, the white trucks.
Yeah, I mean it's tough. Even wraps. I was looking at a wrap yesterday on a plumber's truck, and this pickup, it had a very nice wrap, but the branding on it just blended in. And I'm like, oh, he's got literally a picture of just a faucet from a sink on there, and I'm like, it was just like a stock image, and I'm like, it's I don't even honestly, I don't remember the name of the company, and I
Yeah.
just saw it yesterday afternoon,
Well, and the
and
other
I'm like,
key thing
wow,
is just overcomplicating your wrap, putting way too much crap on
yeah,
there,
way
right?
too much.
A good logo, a good brand will step out, and it'll prove itself what you are, what you do. And so, like in the case of Riley's new wrap, it's simply his logo, Forefront Electric, leading the way with positive energy, his tagline, and their website. Not even a phone number. And see, I was big on that. The last few vehicles I wrapped, I didn't even put a phone number on, because think about this: when you're driving down the road 30 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, if people, are they going to have time to read all that crap that you've put on there? We do
No,
this, we do that, sales, service, installation, license, bonded, insurance. No, they're not.
yeah,
So put what is going to catch their attention, right? Forefront Electric. That's about all you're going to see.
I think of that every time I get behind a service vehicle van
Yeah.
with the big panel doors in the back, and they've got all these bulleted lists of
Yeah.
things, and I'm like, you literally took your website and put it on a wrap
Yeah.
all over your vehicle, and no one's gonna read that.
The
I'm like, it's
sides,
so hard, it's so distracting.
the sides are your billboard. Think about that. What's the easiest way to catch your attention? Because people are going to go, kind of Google you anyway. That's how they find you the majority of the days. Now the back, I've heard different. I haven't really. I don't think I asked Dan this question. I'll have to watch a podcast and see. But the back is where you can tell your story a little bit more. So the back, you typically will see a little bit more on there. So, anywho, yeah, we'll move on, because I like this subject. Raps get me fired up, man. That's like
Right.
we bought a vehicle for our business. It's a 2016 Dodge Grand Caravan, and it has a wrap on it. This is our wrap. It has the website, it has our logo, and it has do what you do best, let us do the rest, our tagline. That's all that's on there, on the sides and on the back. On the back it says like virtual office something for the, I don't even know what it says on the back. Virtual office staffing solutions for contractors or something, but a little bit more of a story on the back. But the sides, simple, clean, great looking brand. Yeah. Anywho,
Well, how do we create a compelling brand voice?
well, let me tell you, Mike Carson, how
Very
you create your
noisy
brand voice.
world, you know. How do you build a brand voice that just screams?
Yeah.
I guess that's the question to ask.
Your personality, your values, consistently using those across all forms of your communication. So I'll give an example with my office help. If you look at my office help on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter. Did I say Twitter? I don't know. We're on like 5 different social media platforms plus YouTube. It's consistent. The profile photo is the same. The cover photo is the same, just sized correctly in each one of those. When you look at our social media posts, there's branding consistency, right? So that's part of your voice, is consistently using the same colors, the same background image, the same logo. We recently added Mo here. Mo is our little computer mascot guy. We actually have him as a full mascot, which is pretty cool. I found this mascot first. That's a computer, and then I actually found the logo, and I was able to actually purchase this logo. So I own the rights to this little logo right here, and it only cost me $11. So if you think branding is going to be expensive, $11 for Mo, and I own them. How cool is that? Anyway, so yeah, that's where brand voice come in, is how you communicate your identity. That's the easiest way, I think, to kind of say what it is. It's the tone and the style you use in your communications.
It's all the way down to having your color palette. I mean, how many people don't even have a color palette chosen with their standard brand colors?
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
It's super important. And I've done a lot of logos in my time, and I've got some friends that do professional logo design for like big brands. And I've sat down and talked to them. I'm like, how do you calculate certain things, with the branding when you create all this stuff? And they're like, man, we drill it down to, there's got to be so much space on each side of the logo, above and below the logo. And if anybody in the company goes and modifies that, it's out of brand.
Yeah.
If anybody adds to this, anything in this box is modified in any way, shape, or form, and I guess even adding a tagline, to the logo that's not really your tagline, and editing something like that, it throws everything off.
Yeah. 100%.
And you'll never see a big brand do that, ever. They are very, very, they follow their branding guidelines extremely strictly.
Yep. Branding consistency. The other aspect of your voice is, are you playful? Are you more serious and professional? What's your voice that you choose to use? Consistency in that is key. So across most of our platforms, we are kind of in between, right? We've chose that in between, and adding this guy in here brought a whole nother element of a little bit of playfulness in it. And one thing that we found for us, having this guy in here in some areas, so like in Marion Connect's local group, it brings the kids in, and they want to talk to Mo. We call him Mo. It brings the kids in, and they want to talk to Mo. So it brings the parents in, and we get a chance to talk to the parents. So we found that to be helpful. But whatever how you communicate, playful, irrelevant, serious, professional, whatever it is, again, branding and consistency.
Absolutely.
What did Jenny say?
Oh,
I think it is doing what you say you're going to do. Very rare in this. Yeah, sir. White van syndrome and freaking blue overalls.
Blue overalls guy. The typical
Maytag guy.
Stock image blue overalls guy that's out there on your website.
When you say blue overalls, I always think of the Maytag man. But that's
no, blue overalls guy. I know exactly what she's talking about. It's your typical stock image.
So let's talk about the next thing, building your brand recognition. So the importance of making your brand recognizable and memorable to your target audience through consistent visibility and experience. None of this matters if no one recognizes your brand. So that's where brand recognition comes in. This is all about making sure that your brand is visible, it's memorable to your audience. It's why companies like McDonald's spends millions of dollars on advertising and sponsorships. Think of Nike, think of McDonald's, right? All these companies who are spending millions upon millions of dollars. But the brand recognition part isn't just about getting your logo out there. It's also about delivering a consistent experience across all touch points. So that every interaction just reinforces your brand identity, right?
Absolutely. So like McDonald's, you bring up McDonald's, they're a perfect example of major excellent branding, because they are obviously not the best restaurant to eat at. Their food is obviously not the best tasting, but they've got their branding down, and they're just so well known, and that's what allowed them to expand all around the world the way they did and have that
Yeah.
consistent brand. And if you've ever watched The Founder, that movie,
Mm-hmm.
it's an awesome movie. But if you've ever watched it, talk about consistency. Everything had to be consistent,
Yeah.
and that was a major part of the branding from the very beginning when that was just getting started. It was foundational,
Yeah.
and it was real key to their success.
I mean, how many times have I actually drank some coffee this morning to show you my brand and consistency, right?
Right. So it's all about those touch points, and that those touch points. There's some people in my town, different companies in my town. They've got such good wraps on their vehicles that they're the first. Like, if somebody said, I need a roofer, or I need a plumber, or I need an HVAC guy, I can think of a handful of companies that stand out purely because of the wraps and the
Yeah.
image, because I've seen their trucks around so much. And all the rest, all the other white vans I see in my neighbors' driveways and everything, and you're like, oh, what, you were having some work done? But I
Yeah.
have no clue what kind of work they're having done, right? I don't know if it's a plumber. I don't know if it's a carpet guy or a flooring guy, whatever. And then they tell you, and you're like, oh, well, man, they need a wrap. Like, they should advertise.
Yeah.
It's like there's so many people that don't understand how much of that message gets lost just
Yeah.
sitting in a neighbor's driveway.
So think about this. In 1968, Shayna's grandfather starts our business as Starnes Electric. 1968. He's got this old beater Ford green van, just a monster ugly of a vehicle. Stocks it full of some parts and starts doing electrical work, right? Some days he has this great garden in his backyard. And some days he'll take payment from people, vegetables and fruits, even though he has his own garden, because that's what he does. That's the kind of guy he is. Fast forward a few years later, he passes away. My in-laws take over the business, and I come into the business in 1998. But they had a few vehicles. They used like the family van and stuff like that for the family van got to where it was kind of crapping out, so they would start utilizing that vehicle for running service calls and doing new homes, wiring new homes. We did a ton of new construction. I came into the business in '98. I get the last of the I call it the old gray mare. It was a 19, gosh, what was that? 88, 89. It was the Chevy Astro with the 4.3. You could kill those motors, right? So
I knew it well.
what I'm doing here is I'm getting into our next topic is brand storytelling. So the importance of storytelling and branding emphasize how a compelling brand story can create emotional connections and turn customers into loyal advocates. I have people towards the end of our business who still used us as service detectives as they did when we were Starnes Electric. Because of what? Because of the connections that they had made with us throughout the years. And because I did, like Jenny was saying, did what I said what I was going to do when I said what I was going to do it for the price that I said I was going to do it for. That is branding consistency, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Humans are hardwired to respond to stories. So it's no surprise that storytelling is such a powerful tool in branding. Your brand story is the narrative that ties everything together. Who you are, what you do, why it matters. A compelling brand story can turn casual customers into, I call them client cheerleaders. So it's worth investing the time to get it right. I'm glad
Absolutely.
we're ending on this one because that one, wow, it brings it home. Yep.
Absolutely. So one thing that I will say is, after going through Dan Antonelli's book,
Mhm.
Branded Not Blanded, I absolutely love how he does his brand storytelling and his unique approach versus most other rap guys in that industry, in the design industry.
Yeah.
And the way he does everything in a classic way. It's a nostalgic way. That's his, that's like their thing is
Mhm.
nostalgia. And if you look at most any of their raps, I'm in a few other groups, and there's people that will take pictures of other vehicles on the highway and say, is this a Antonelli wrap? Is this a
Yeah.
kickcharge design? And I see that and I'm like, that's so cool. Like other people in all these other industries are taking pictures of other vans and recognizing
Yeah.
and wondering
I,
if it does work because it
I
stands out so much.
I've been traveling often, and I'll see a vehicle, and I'll message Dan. And I'll be like, "Is this one of your designs?" He's like, "Yep, sure is." it's
Yeah,
it's
and
amazing.
it's pretty cool. But I mean, why does he take that approach?
Yeah.
Because it works. And people love nostalgia. And
I'll tell you.
they love going back to a time when America was better
Yeah.
and things were simpler and things were trustworthy, and complete opposite of today's view on things, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what's working well for so many of his clients with the branding that they have, and that's why those companies are growing so much. And I think it's a very cool, unique approach that I just thought I'd mention.
Yeah. When you talk about brand storytelling, he is. I know he talks a lot about this one. It's Grasshopper, and this is
Yeah,
Amanda Triolo. And Amanda has a great story. I'm not going to go through and talk about it in here, but if you get a second to grab Dan's book, but also immediately start researching Amanda Triolo and Grasshopper Heating and Air. She came up with a tagline of "Forward is a way of life," and that really defines not just her personally, but what she's done with her business. And she has blown it up just in a matter of a few short years. So,
yeah. All
yeah.
right.
Well, I hope you all
Any,
gained
any
some
closing thoughts?
insights. Yeah, I'm hoping that everybody gained some insights into the power of branding. That's for sure. How you can harness it to take your business to the next level. I do have a few more new taglines for brands. Yelp. Here's one for Yelp. Yelp. Pretend your reviews matter.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that one's actually
Or
their
Yelp,
tagline.
we hide your reviews
Here's
from the
one
public.
from Monopoly. Monopoly. A great way to ruin friendships.
It's funny because it's true.
Yeah. iTunes. I have not read the terms and conditions.
All right, we
Oh,
got we got one more comment here. Marion wants to put the book and the author in the chat, please. It is branded, not blanded,
yep. I'll do that real quick.
and we're gonna have Dan on a podcast pretty soon. In fact, I'm interviewing him this week with probably with Zach. So
But if
we
you
got
don't want to
some
wait,
we got some content coming. So
yeah, if you don't want to wait, you can go to our YouTube channel. Here, I'll throw a link to it on there as well in the comments. But yeah, man, it was a great interview, and he's just so easygoing. Dan's got a really cool story himself as well about where he's at now compared to what he's been. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys interview him as well.
yeah, and I
But
mean he got bonus points with me because he's a Chevy guy. He's got a new Corvette, and I was
yeah, yeah,
drooling over it, and we were chatting for a couple hours last week, so it was pretty cool.
yeah. All right, so
All
I
right,
am throwing this into the comments as well. But thank you all for joining. I hope you got something out of it. And next week, what are we talking about next week?
oh, I forgot. Let me look.
The morning grind.
We've got
Teams? Talking about teams? Did I hear teams?
building high performance teams.
Building high performance teams. All right.
Yes.
Talking about hiring for the right fit.
That's fun stuff because I just got done hiring somebody and they started yesterday. So
maybe we'll talk a little conflict resolution.
We can talk about that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. Y'all have a great week. Look, before we leave, if you got something from this episode, you got to pay for it. And the simple way to pay for it is you got to like it, you got to comment, you got to share this episode. That's how you pay for it. Simple as that. Appreciate y'all. Have a great week.